Hey y'all, jumping on as promised to do my shadow work live. Hope everybody's having a good Tuesday. There was something on my glasses, so I just took them off because they bother me. Okay, shadow work and parenting. How does this work? Well, there's so many ways we can go about this, but first examples of shadow work and parenting is giving your child what you didn't receive. Um, an example would be if you grew up in poverty and went to bed hungry. Oftentimes, when you become a parent, you'll make sure that there's an abundance of food at all times for your child. Um, if you weren't hugged enough, then you want to make sure that you hug your child often. Um, what's another one? If your parents beat you, you don't hit your kids. All of these things, okay? So we take all of these things, and this is different than like breaking generational curses. So, like, it's multifaceted. People always try to make things fit in these simplistic boxes, but really they overlay. So, like, you can break the generational curse of beating children. You can break the generational curse of, like, I didn't feel heard as a child, so I make sure that I give my children space to speak on, how they feel, right? You can break that generational curse and be doing something for your inner child to your children. Um, so, like, if I'm if I grew up in poverty and now I make sure that there's food always in the house for the kids, and I don't really monitor it and I don't make sure it's healthy food or whatever, because I just want to make sure whenever they want to eat they can, um that's not really healthy. I mean, it's healthy to make sure your kids have food, but you're not actually providing food for them. It's for you. Um so what if you provide those things, right? And then your kids want to eat out all the time or run down to the neighbor's house and have dinner over there, this, that, and other. Um, how you know if you're providing for your child or if you provide for yourself, you feel rejection. Um, you're trying to give your child something you feel you didn't have. So then when your child doesn't receive it as the gift that you know it to be because you lacked it, um, or had lack thereof in your life, then often when they say they're not interested or they don't receive it based on the script in your brain they should be following that they don't know exists. Oftentimes what happens is we feel rejected all over again. Um, so how can we rectify that? What is a shadow work way to fix that? Okay, so first of all, or heal that. First of all, you yes, feed your children, but the food isn't about the kids. The food is about you, right? So how can you take care of the inner child within you that wasn't provided for as a child? Easy, and it's not easy. It's hard. All of us fail at this. Are you ready? When you hungry, bitch, eat. What? It's so simple, but none of us do it. None of us. How many of us go to run our errands and we feel the hunger? We ain't ate nothing all day. It's now 12 o'clock noon and we could feed ourselves, but we got two more places and then we promise that we will eat. So what do? We get coffee instead, or we grab a snack or a bag of chips or whatever to tide us over, right? Okay, so this is why you're buying an abundance of food and need an abundance of food in your house at all times, because you're not actually healing that, right? So how can we heal that? Eat. Eat. Here's a rule of thumb. Every time you feel your little hunger pains and you're out or you're working or whatever and you're busy, every time you feel those hunger pains. Now, we're not talking about eating to cope. That's a whole different video. We're not doing that today. Every time you feel the little hunger pains crawling up, right? I need you to envision. So if you're in the car running errands, that there's a 3-year-old in your car in the back seat crying at the top of their lungs that they're starving. What would you do? You'd hit a drive-thru and you'd feed that baby. You are that baby. Feed that baby. That's how you do that shadow work. So you can stop projecting the things that you didn't have as a child onto your children and start actually healing the parts of you that hurt from not being provided for. Another example would be you didn't feel heard as a kid, right? Children should be seen and not heard. You don't get a say. Do as I say, not as I do. All that shit, right? So when you have children, you give them this open space to be able to converse and dialogue, debate, respectfully, whatever, right? You see that as a gift. What happens when you see that as a gift? They don't get the script in your head. So they think they're dialoguing with you because they're trying to prove their case on why they don't need to wash the dishes, and you just supposed to give in. So you keep trying to dialogue with them so you can convince them that doing the dishes is important. Fun fact, teenagers will never agree with you that dishes are important. They don't care. They know they're important, they just don't want to do them, and they will fight you on it. But if you're coming at them from a place of, if I just logically speak to them, they will get it. And then I don't have to be like my parents and yell at them. That's not how it works. I'm not saying you got to yell at your kids. I'm saying you have to be okay with your kids not agreeing with you. I'm not going to agree with you at 16 that I should be doing dishes instead of what I'm doing. I'm not going to agree with that. I don't care how much sense you make. And that's okay. Because guess what? You need to wash these dishes, boo. And not because when I was a kid, I got yelled at to wash the dishes, but because as a family unit, this is your job and I'm giving it to you and we need to work it out. Now, I'm not going to go into all the right ways to say this, that, and other because that's not what this is about. Here's another thing. You weren't hugged enough as a kid. You weren't provided with nurturing and support and love, right? So what do you do when you have kids? You hug the shit out of them all the time. You smother them with kisses. How can that go wrong? What if they are sensitive to sensory? Now, what does that feel like for you? It feels like rejection all over again. All I want to do is hug my baby and I can't. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have that struggle regardless as parents, but the answer is you not looking to hug your baby and give your baby what you didn't have as much as you looking to get hugged. Now, if your child wants you to hug them a million times a day, baby, do it all. Because I promise you they grow up so fast. Love on them babies. But are we listening to what our children actually need? That's real shadow work. I'm not giving you what I needed and didn't get. I'm giving you what you as an individual need, because anybody who has multiple kids knows that those needs are different. What I gave to my oldest, I did not give to my second oldest. What my second oldest needed, my third didn't need it. My middle didn't need it. My youngest definitely won't need it. They're all different. Are we giving them what they need and not what we needed instead? That is shadow work in parenting. Reflection on those things is so valuable and important. so that you can have an authentic relationship with your children. So they see you as human and you see them as human. Individuals, okay? Do your shadow work. When you're hungry, eat. If you need a hug, ask for a hug, get a hug. If you want to feel heard, speak. Find a safe space and speak. Therapy, baby. It's sexy. Try it if you can. But do not take yours and try to take your round peg child and fit it in your square hole. It won't work. Oftentimes we end up creating the same paradigm and the same cycles that our parents created. Our parents, believe it or not, were giving us all the things that their parents didn't give them. And some of that was beautiful and amazing, but also didn't heal them one bit. So they still walked around with a screaming inner child, affecting everyone around them's life. Okay? All right, my loves. I love you. I'm out. Catch you tomorrow.